Welcome back. You man, Diamond K in here. Of course, the Diamond K Show on fire-tv.com. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for tuning in. Hope everybody had a great and productive Memorial Day weekend. I was in Atlanta and got back to Baltimore on Sunday. And, it was a very, very nice drive, long drive. Coming back was faster. I don't know if that's in my mind or what, but it seemed like coming back was faster than going to Atlanta. Couple of things on the list here to run down. Of course, I've said this. Donald Trump is not as popular as a lot of you seem to think he is. He's not as popular as he thinks he is. And we got records of that. We have examples of that. Common sense would tell you that as well. But we had a very interesting display over the weekend of just how unpopular the former president is. Yeah, I know they'll say, "Oh, the poll said this, and the polling said that." But as we found out during the what they're calling the hush money trial, we knew this before this, but Team Trump pays for skewed polls. And then the national mainstream media parrots these fraudulent polls. Many of them are fraudulent. And it gets folks thinking Trump is popular. I don't know why you would think that. He lost the last election. He's lost the popular vote in every election that he's been in. And he's only continued to do worse things. His popularity has decreased. So over the weekend, Trump was booed and heckled at the Libertarian National Convention. Libertarian is a political party in America. Each time Donald Trump asked the attendees for their votes for the party's nomination, he was met with raucous boos. They wasn't feeling that. And Trump, who for the most part operates in a bubble. He's in a bubble of supporters and yes men and yes women. And they're not telling him the truth. They're not telling him the truth. He's not telling his supporters the truth. Everybody's lying to everybody. So these insults were thrown at the former president when he took stage Saturday night to address the Libertarian National Convention. The crowd was hostile. They wasn't feeling him. And the MAGA folks tried to do everything that they could to try to turn things in his direction. They tried to put some of the young Republicans in the front row. But the Libertarians like, y'all ain't sitting right here. This is our party. We sitting right here. And they wanted to try to have the young Republicans to try to, cheer in the front. Crowd was hostile to the former president, especially pronounced when Trump directly solicited for their votes. Vote for me. Each time he asked attendees at the Washington Hilton for their votes or the party's nomination, he was met with loud boos. I'm asking the Libertarian Party for my endorsement, or at least lots of your votes Lots and lots of libertarian votes, Trump said to the audience, which responded with boos. At times, Trump turned on the crowd. He started criticizing libertarian turnout in previous elections, saying, oh, if you want to win, you vote for me, unless you want to keep losing and getting 3%. It reminds you of that guy that's trying to holler at a girl walking down the street. Hey, let me get your number. What's going on? Let me holler at you. And she ain't giving him no positive response. So he says, I ain't want to talk to your ugly self anyway. Right? You was just trying to talk to her a minute ago, but when she didn't give you the response you wanted, now all of a sudden she ugly. Trump is here trying to, coerce the libertarians to vote for him. And when he hears that they're not feeling him in the Washington Hilton, then he says, I ain't want y'all vote anyway. Y'all some losers anyway. You can keep going the way you have for the last long decades and get your 3% and meet again, get another 3%, Trump said, following the boos from the crowd. Just like a spoiled brat that he is when he doesn't get his way. The 2020 Libertarian Party nominee won just over 1% of the votes in several swing states, including Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. Just 1%. But in a tight race, these votes could have the power to swing the election between major party nominees. That's how close things are. That's how tight it is. The audience yelled at Trump throughout his speech as well. It was a stark contrast to his typical crowds filled with adoring fans who follow him across the country. You have a lot of the same people at these Trump rallies in different states to give people the illusion that Trump is popular. He's like a touring, act that just, going around doing the same songs, and you have these fans that are just traveling around with him. You seen the blacks for Trump that look real funny? They're everywhere. They're at every, campaign event. Same blacks for the same Trump in every state. They look the exact same. Interesting. So the audience yelled at Trump throughout his speech. He's mad at them. They're mad at him. And as I said, it's a very stark contrast to his typical crowds that are filled with adoring fans decked out in their MAGA gear. Oh, yeah, he wasn't used to this. At one point during Saturday's speech, punches were thrown in the audience. Yeah. They got to fighting and all that. One crowd member shouted, "Lock him up." Another yelled, "Donald Trump is a threat to democracy." Moments later, someone yelled at Trump, "You had your shot." Others yelled at Trump, "F you, you already had 4 years, you a-hole." Oh, it was lovely. It was lovely seeing these white people not feeling Trump. Oh, because like these Trump supporters that I see online, oh, yeah, Trump this, Trump that. Fox News trying to cover for Trump. He went to a NASCAR event. They tried to cover for him. It was very interesting. But after that speech, a libertarian candidate who took the stage called the former president a war criminal, citing his use of drone strikes against Syria. It was interesting. These white people were not feeling Donald Trump. Oh, yes. A dose of reality for the diaper Don. On Friday night, the libertarian crowd was also hostile to mentions of Trump. And the audience booed when Vivek Ramaswamy brought up the former president. Separately, the crowd cheered one Libertarian Party member's suggestion that we'll go tell Donald Trump to go F himself. Yes. Very interesting. Trump's not that popular as y'all think. Not as popular as many of you have been led to believe. Ahead of Saturday's speech, many members of the audience had already made up their minds about Trump. He has a record that you can look at. Not that good on a lot of things. A lot of things. The prospect. I would rather eat my own foot out of a bear trap, one partygoer said. I only vote libertarian. The Trump campaign argued it was important for the former president to venture into less than friendly territory to appeal to non-traditional Republican voters. Now, I do respect that, and I think that was a big part of Barack Obama's appeal during his campaigns. He went places that Democrats didn't traditionally go, and he wasn't able to win over everybody, but he was able to piecemeal away some voters that Democrats often ignored. So is that what the strategy was here? Maybe. Trump himself referenced the unexpected decision, saying that a lot of people ask why I came to speak at this libertarian convention. And it's an interesting question, isn't it? But we're going to have lots of fun, he said. There were moments when Trump received some cheers, like when he touted his record of stating no news wars and his administration's withdrawn from the World Health Organization, which Biden later rejoined. Trump was also cheered when he called for pardoning the January 6th defendants. Interesting. One of the loudest cheers from the audience came when Trump announced his intention to commute the life sentence of Silk Road website operator Ross Ulbricht. If you vote for me on day one, I will commute the sentence of Ross, he said. We're going to get him home, he later added. He was sentenced to life in federal prison in 2015 for creating and operating a hidden website known as the Silk Road. Many people used that to buy and sell drugs, among other illegal goods and services. Many libertarians have called for his release. At the convention on Saturday, the crowd was filled with free Ross signs and took up chants in support of him. So Preet Bharara, who was a U.S. attorney for Manhattan when Ross was sentenced in 2015, said in a press release at the time that his actions contributed to at least 6 deaths. Bharara also called Ross a drug dealer and a criminal profiteer. So this is who many libertarians want free. Now, it's interesting because clearly he created this website where a lot of drugs were sold and other illegal things. Now, Trump's previous comments about drug dealers are in direct conflict with his Saturday vow to commute Ross's sentence. As you see, Donald Trump will say anything to anybody if he thinks that it's going to help him in the moment. Former president said that the death penalty should be instituted for certain drug dealers, depending on the severity of the crime. The Silk Road was an infamous highway, digital highway for drug sales. Given that history, libertarians seem to view the vow to commute Ross's sentence as calculated. They're not dumb. They don't believe that. I don't even think that Trump even knew Ross's name before he decided to come and pander to the libertarians. Very interesting. Donald Trump making his rounds, doing the things that Diaper Donald does. Not sure if he has swayed many libertarians, though. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, at The Diamond K Show, and all social media. Diamond K in here. And I'm talking about Donald Trump being booed at the Libertarian National Convention. Do you think that Trump is as popular as advertised? Do you believe these polls? Come on now. Support the program via Cash App. That is $, The Diamond K Show. You can become a member today on fire-tv.com/join. You can subscribe on youtube.com/djdiamondk. Of course, contact me for any booking info. djdiamondk@gmail.com. Very easy to get in touch with. You're looking for me. You can support the Diamond K Show and On Fire TV via paypal.me/radioonfire, or simply go to onfire-tv.com and click support. We'll do this. We'll take a quick break. We're going to come back with more of the show. I want to talk about Trump's bought and paid for judge. Yeah, he bought a judge in Florida, and she has been helping him out. But I think she took the bait. I think she made a big mistake now, and we're going to talk about that right after this. Welcome back. Your man Diamond K in here. Of course, the Diamond K Show on fire-tv.com. Anywhere you get your podcast, just search the Diamond K Show. So we moved to Florida, where Judge Eileen Cannon, Trump's bought and paid for judge, has denied the request to restrict Donald Trump's statements about law enforcement in the classified records case. So I think she messed up here. Now, the judge overseeing this case in Florida today denied prosecutors. They were trying to, have a gag order modification. They made a request to bar the former president from talking crazy and lying and making these public statements that could endanger the life of law enforcement agents who participated in this search warrant, the execution of the search warrant, that have participated in this prosecution. But they tried to explain to Judge Eileen Cannon that the restriction was necessary because there have been potential threats. There have been harassment that has come as a result of statements by the presumptive Republican presidential nominee. These are baseless lies that claimed that the Biden administration wanted to kill him during a search of his Mar-a-Lago estate in Palm Beach, Florida, nearly 2 years ago, where he wasn't even present. No one from his family was present. It was coordinated, so he was not home. And he is still lying to the people. I told you he lies about how popular he is. He lies about this. Cannon, I don't know, she just kind of chided the prosecutors in her order denying their request, saying that they didn't give defense lawyers adequate time to discuss the matter before it was filed on Friday evening. Time is of the essence, and she slow rolls everything. The judge warned prosecutors that failing to comply with court requirements in the future may lead to sanctions. She denied the request without prejudice, meaning that prosecutors could file it again. Now, I think that they need to take this up. Jack Smith's team. I expected that she was going to deny this. It would have been smarter if she sided with Jack Smith's, but she did not. She has not. The judge's decision came as Trump's attorneys were delivering their closing remarks at trial in another criminal case that he's facing in New York, stemming from the hush money payment to the porn actress during the 2016 campaign. So this is the latest example of bitterness between Cannon, who was nominated by Trump, and prosecutors who have accused the former president of illegally hoarding at his Mar-a-Lago estate classified documents that he took with him after he left the White House in 2021. I don't understand why this case didn't happen in D.C. because that's where the documents were stolen from. They were stolen from D.C. And he put them on a plane and took them to Florida. But you could just as easily have tried this case in D.C. Sometimes Democrats, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. So Cannon has, she is just come down really hard on prosecutors, both in hearings and in court papers over a number of matters, including telling Smith's team during one hearing it was wasting the court's time. Prosecutors have also signaled mounting frustration with Cannon's rulings, saying in one recent court filing that a request from the judge was based on fundamentally flawed legal premise. Yeah, she's not that good of a judge, right? She wasn't that good of an attorney. How'd she get the job? Because she is a Trump loyalist. Prosecutors followed the distorted claim by Trump last week that the FBI agents who searched his Mar-a-Lago estate in August of 2022 were authorized to shoot him and were locked and loaded and ready to take him out and put his family in danger. This is what Jack Smith's team is trying to gag Trump on. I think that they have no other choice but to appeal this and bring in some of her previous rulings on hearings and some of her previous writings. Eileen Cannon needs to be off this case. Trump was referring to the disclosure in a court document that the FBI during the search followed a standard use of force policy. They put this piece of paper in it was in Joe Biden's as well. Anytime a search warrant is served by the FBI, they have this paperwork there. It's subject to such force poses an imminent danger of death or serious physical injury to an officer or another person. That's the only time that they would use force, and it's written out. This is routine. It is meant to limit rather than encourage the use of force. Prosecutors noted that the search of the Florida property was intentionally conducted when Trump and his family were out of state. They coordinated in advance with the Secret Service. No force was used at all. Prosecutors said in court papers late Friday that Trump's false suggestion that federal agents were complicit in a plot to assassinate him exposes law enforcement officers to the risk of threats, violence, and harassment. Eileen Cannon does not care. Another one of the Trump lies. They act like they back the blue. They act like they're law and order. He is saying and doing things that directly endanger the lives of law enforcement. Defense attorneys in a court filing late yesterday called prosecutors' proposed restriction on Trump's speech unconstitutional. Unbelievable. This, of course, is among 4 criminal cases that Trump is confronting as he seeks to reclaim the White House. But outside of the ongoing New York hush money prosecution, it is unclear that any of the other 3 will reach trial before November. Trump has already had restrictions placed on his speech in 2 of the other cases over his comments. Officers say that threatened the integrity of the prosecutions. So Eileen Cannon has struck again, but did she do too much this time? Because she dismissed the case without, or the attempt at a gag of Trump, because she dismissed it without prejudice. I guess that's the little bit of a line that she drew there. Said, oh, well, you can bring it back at a later time, but folks' lives are in danger because of Trump, and he does not care whatsoever. He does not care whatsoever. I think that Jack Smith and his team need to take this up the next level because Eileen Cannon is clearly a partisan. You got a lot of Republican judges that are just going around. They're brazen. And she is at the point where she is brazen. They cannot get a fair shake with Judge Eileen Cannon. If Republicans were dealing with the trial and there was a person that, I don't know, Joe Biden appointed that was overseeing his case, Republicans will be making a big deal about it. Democrats are they're always appealing to the better nature. Republicans don't have that bone in their body. They don't feel guilty about shifting the scales or none of that. They don't feel guilty about it. So Democrats have to toughen up. You have to stop thinking that you're just going to be able to shame Republicans into doing the right thing. You're not going to be able to do it. You either got to take things to the level that they take it to or continue to lose. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, at The Diamond K Show. Of course, onfire-tv.com is where you go. You need to get in touch with me, djdiamondk at gmail.com. You can support The Diamond K Show and On Fire TV via paypal.me/radio on fire. On Cash App, I am $ The Diamond K Show. You can become a member today, onfire-tv.com/join. And make sure you subscribe to us on youtube.com/djdiamondk. We're going to do this. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with more of the show right after this. Welcome back. You man, Diamond K in here, of course, broadcasting from On Fire TV studios here in Baltimore. So a former diversity program manager at Facebook and Nike has been sentenced to federal prison for a $5 million fraud. We've talked about this story, and it is it's disappointing to see this situation. Barbara Furlow-Smiles, who is a former diversity program manager at Facebook and Nike, sentenced for stealing more than $5 million based on some elaborate scheme involving fraudulent vendors, fictitious paperwork, and cash kickbacks. Does it sound like Donald Trump? It sounds exactly like the kind of actions that he takes. Furlow-Smiles violated her position of trust as a DEI executive at Facebook. And according to authorities, she stole millions from the company utilizing a scheme involving these fake invoices, cash kickbacks, fraudulent vendors, according to the U.S. attorney. After being terminated from Facebook, she brazenly continued the fraud as a DEI leader at Nike. Over there, she stole another six-figure sum from their diversity program. She was already getting paid good money, but greed has a way of doing that. Her prison sentence reflects the consequences of her decision to orchestrate an intricate scheme to defraud two of her employers for personal profit. I'm just saying Donald Trump does this same exact thing. I have no problem holding this lady, Barbara Furlow-Smiles, was a black lady, accountable. I want others held accountable the same way. So she violated trust. So she stole some money. So she got caught. So she's paying the price, as she should. As she should. First, she was linked to PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, these accounts. She linked them to her Facebook credit cards, and she used those accounts to pay friends, relatives, and other associates for goods and services that, in truth, were never provided to Facebook. Now, to conceal these bogus charges, Furlow-Smiles submitted fraudulent expense reports, falsely claiming that her associates or their businesses had performed work on programs and events for Facebook, such as providing swag or marketing services when they did not do so. So she was, paying herself and then writing up these invoices. All right. After these individuals received the payments from Facebook, they returned the vast majority of the money to her. So she paid them, paid her. It was, she gave them a slight kickback. These kickbacks were paid in cash or through account transfers, including her husband. They paid the cash kickbacks in person or by Federal Express or by mail, sometimes wrapping the cash in other items like T-shirts. Furlow-Smiles also directed associates to pay one another or others whom she owed money to conceal her involvement in the scheme. It's unfortunate. Now, she also caused Facebook to onboard several vendors that were owned and operated by friends and associates who paid her kickbacks. She had a whole little thing going. She had a whole little criminal conspiracy going. She approved fraudulent invoices for these same vendors. After Facebook paid the vendors, she directed the vendors to return a portion of the money they received to her. She was just gangster. She was just completely brazen. So finally, it's caught up with her. And she recruited numerous people to participate in this scheme. These individuals included friends, relatives, former interns from prior jobs, nannies, babysitters, a hairstylist, a university tutor. She also caused Facebook to make payments for her benefit to others who did not pay kickbacks. For example, Furlow-Smiles caused Facebook to pay nearly $10,000 to an artist for specialty portraits and more than $18,000 to a preschool for tuition. After that caught up with her, she was fired from Facebook. She worked at Nike from November 2021 to February 2023. And there she was a senior director of diversity, equity, and inclusion, also called DEI. Now, in that position, she was responsible for supporting DEI initiatives developing strategies, and hosting DEI events. So she was primarily responsible for a Juneteenth event in New York during her time at Nike. But as she had done at Facebook, she circumvented the vendor process at Nike to commit fraud. She linked her Nike corporate card to her PayPal and Venmo accounts. She then paid her associates with PayPal and Venmo, causing fraudulent charges to her Nike card. The associates kicked back portions of the payment to her. She submitted fraudulent expense reports to Nike to cover her tracks. The expense reports falsely claimed that the payments were related to the Juneteenth event. Rinse and repeat. In total, it is being reported that she stole more than $4.9 million from Facebook and over $120,000 from Nike based on these fictitious charges and fraudulent invoices. She used the money to buy luxury, just a whole luxury lifestyle in Oregon, Georgia, and California. And the thing is that these white collar crimes, they bring the hammer down hard on folks. Case was investigated by the FBI, and Assistant U.S. Attorney Stephen H. McLean and Bernita B. Mallow prosecuted the case. So they're gonna, we often say that they're gonna make an example of somebody. We often use that terminology, and that's what's gonna happen here. They're gonna make an example out of her, and she deserves it. I mean, it was very brazen. So she's been given 5 years. In addition to the 5 years in prison, the former DEI executive also got 3 years of supervised release. So she thought she was untouchable. But it turns out that they were able to finally catch her. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Did she get too much time? Did she get not enough time? Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok at The Diamond K Show. Of course, you can support this program and On Fire TV via paypal.me/Radio on Fire. Cash App is $ The Diamond K Show. You can become a member today. Support this community-powered news network. onfire-tv.com/join. Subscribe on youtube.com/djdiamondk. And as I said, emails djdiamondk@gmail.com. All right, so we're going to take our last break, and then we'll come back, and I want to talk about an amazing woman. We're going to do that right after this. The Diamond K Show. Stay tuned.
On Fire TV is a streaming network for a generation on the move.
Welcome back. You man, Diamond K in here, of course. The Diamond K Show on Fire TV, and anywhere you get your podcasts, just search The Diamond K Show. So this last story, it's a good story. It's an inspiring story. We're going to talk about Andrea Dalzell. And she has made history as the first ever registered nurse that uses a wheelchair. So all of these nurses out there, their job is a hard job. It's a very hard job. But this young lady has managed to overcome, we talk about adversity, managed to overcome adversity and get into this very tough field. So she had a lifelong dream to be a nurse. Lifelong dream. She is a registered nurse, and she is out of New York. And obviously she overcame a lot of adversity, a lot of obstacles, countless obstacles to get in this position. So I just commend her so much. She is she has this name that she is the seated nurse, Andrea Dolezal. She is a survivor. She's a registered nurse, a disability rights advocate, and a speaker who was on a mission to help people live healthier lives. So I just think that is so commendable that she has, decided to take this path. So commendable. So as I said, she is a survivor. She's a registered nurse. And, as the first registered nurse in a wheelchair in New York State these days, she is getting a lot of attention for her, just how she handled patients that had the during the pandemic, coronavirus patients. So she was diagnosed with a traverse disease when she was 5 and was using a wheelchair full time by the age of 12. So she went through a lot. She said that she went on 76 interviews and she finally was able to get the green light. Her first position as a registered nurse who is in a wheelchair. So, I mean, things are already hard enough for folks. Already hard enough. And this young lady wants to still help people, even though she has, all of these challenges that she's dealing with. She still saw and sees the need and value in helping others. This is her here. This is her website. You can find out more about her at theseatednurse.com. Theseatednurse.com. As you can see, she's flying all of that. Good for her. And so definitely check her out. Theseatednurse.com. I know sometimes things get hard. You think, oh, it's so bad for you. But you look at somebody like Andrea, who has challenges, but she is pushing forward. She is pushing forward. She was crowned Miss Wheelchair New York in 2015. All right. And so she is an inspiration to many folks. And I just wanted to take a moment to highlight this young lady, Andrea, who is the seated nurse. She's a beautiful woman, and she is doing big and positive things. So check her out when you get a chance. Andrea Dolezal, as I said, she is the seated nurse. Well, shout out to her. All right. Of course, we're going to be back here tomorrow with more of the show. A lot of things to talk about, as always. Of course, you can support the Diamond K Show and On Fire TV via paypal.me/radio on fire, via Cash App, $ the Diamond K Show. You can become a member today, and you can support this community-powered news organization. onfire-tv.com/join. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/djdiamondk. Get in touch with me for booking or any more information, djdiamondk@gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. I will see you guys tomorrow.
Visit onfiretv.com for live top stories, breaking news, and original shows.